In an interview on Fox News this week, Donald Trump lawyer and, for some reason, woman who's always following him around everywhere he goes, Alina Habba, confirmed reports that Donald Trump is, in fact, terrified of the United States Supreme Court because there is a part of him, at least, according to Habba, that believes that the Supreme Court is going to rule against him on the issue of immunity. Possibly, as Maggie Haberman with the New York Times reported earlier this week, he's also concerned that they will rule against him on whether or not he can be on the ballots. But here is what Habba had to say, and I want you to listen closely to this because there's some ulterior motives happening here. Listen. You know, Republicans are conservative. They get nervous. They, unfortunately, are sometimes shy away from being pro-Trump because they feel that even if the law is on our side, they might be swayed much like the Democratic side, right? So sometimes they're trying to look so neutral that they make the wrong call. And I really encourage them to look at the law and look at the Constitution. It's just a simple decision, and it should have nothing to do with whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. This is probably the most judicious I have ever actually heard Alina Habba being, because she wasn't stupid, right? This is not a word salad. Now, okay, the part where she's like, Republicans, we're conservative, we get nervous. That's word salad. That makes no sense. Like, well, I'm conservative, so I conserve things, which makes me like, what? That was dumb. You shouldn't have led with it. You shouldn't have included it, honestly. But anyway, her weird choice of words at the beginning aside, the rest of it's actually kind of smart. Because what she is doing here, and I'm assuming there's probably somebody smarter than her who explained to her how to do this, they're laying the groundwork for if the Supreme Court rules against Trump. It's not going to be because the law was against him. Oh, no. It's because the Supreme Court was so zealous to not look like a bunch of conservative partisan hacks that, oops, they made the wrong call just to appease the Democrats, so, they didn't get attacked. The problem with this line of argument, and I'll give her credit because this will work with Trump's base. If the Supreme Court rules against Donald Trump in either the immunity or the ballot access, it's going to be in the minds of Trump supporters because they were overcautious and didn't want to appear partisan. Not because the law was against him, but because they didn't want to be attacked by liberals, even though conservatives are the ones lobbing death threats at judges across the country right now. But what Habba did here is lay that groundwork and try to already downplay whatever ruling comes out of that Supreme Court. So, as I said, there's a fatal flaw in this. Because in order for this conspiracy to be true, you would have to have a court that has a history of giving a damn what the public thinks of them. And we can see by the fact that they have routinely, not shown up for these congressional hearings that the Democrats in the Senate have been trying to hold. We can already tell that the Supreme Court doesn't care what anybody thinks of them at any point. If they did, they would have expelled Clarence Thomas. If they did, they wouldn't have allowed Amy Coney Barrett to be confirmed in an election year because Mitch McConnell says we can't do that. They wouldn't have been okay with Neil Gorsuch being appointed because, Mitch McConnell held up that seat that should have been filled by President Obama, but instead was filled by President Trump. This is a court that doesn't give a damn. I mean, hell, they also would have sent Kavanaugh, packing before he even made it to the court by saying, hey, listen, what he's accused of, we don't want that on our court. They don't care what people think of them. Therefore, this conspiracy theory that, they're going to vote against him because they're worried about their public image, it's a total farce. This court has proven multiple times just in the last 12 months they don't care what people think of them, and therefore this argument from Habba is trash right out of the gate. Hi everyone, this here is little Athena, and Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet, so please don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.